everyone. Welcome to another Make It With Me Monday. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. We had our very first Christmas gathering of the season, and it was really lovely to be able to get together this year with our family, my husband's side of the family, I should say. And it was just really awesome to be able to spend some time together. Really like that. And I know it wasn't really Christmassy feeling outside, but I did not mind the wild weather because at least we didn't have to drive through snowstorms and things like that. So, all right, I'm just gonna chat for another minute or so while people are hopping on. Wanted to double check with you guys. I know I got my catalogs in the mail this week, the ones that I would have sent out from Stampin' Up! Directly to you guys. If you have not received them, I would say probably by the end of this week, let me know for sure so that I can get some out to you. They should come together. So you'll get both the January to June 2022 mini catalog, and you'll get the celebration round number 1 for this year, which is January into February. All right, so hopefully, like I said, you've seen those showing up in your mailbox. And again, if you haven't gotten them in the next few days or so, shoot me a message and I will make sure that some are being sent out to you. You don't want to miss out on new stuff, and especially not free stuff. We all love free stuff. Alrighty, so let me go over what it was that you needed to have for tonight. We're on week 43, if you can believe that. Like, wow, that time has just flown right by. All right, so you needed a card base that is 5.5 by 8.5, and you needed to score it at 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So I'm going to be using Fresh Freesia tonight. Hi, Jessie. Good to see you here. And here's my 2 1/8 and here's my 4 1/4 square marks. You need 2 pieces of designer series paper. I know these are funky cuts, and I usually like to have them a little bit more easy to do, but you don't have yours yet, Jessie? Okay, let me know, because I know you were on my list to mail to, so keep an eye out this week. Hopefully they're coming. They're 1 5/8 wide by 5 1/8 long, and I said, remember, we're using them vertically so that they'll be, in case yours is a directional piece, you want to make sure you can use it vertically. Then you need 2 pieces of cardstock that coordinated that were 1 7/8 by 5 3/8. I'm going to be using Highland Heather. And then you needed, out of another color of cardstock, some kind of shape. It was a circle, a square, some kind of die cut, anything you need that is about 3 by 3. And I have a shape that I cut out, die cut from Highland Heather using, excuse me, the Stitch with Whimsy die set. And that's on the annual catalog on page 166. And then for your neutral piece, you needed a coordinating shape that is 2 by 2. So mine, I'll show you how I did the impression of this. So this die itself just makes this little stitched impression. Let me hold up a little bit higher. And so sometimes I cut around that, which is what I did with this piece right here. I cut around the stitching where it is. It leaves a little bit of an impression mark for you to follow. It's really pretty easy to do. And then I'm going to do the same thing when I show you what I ended up doing with my neutral piece there. And then you just need phrases or images or whatever you want to fit this neutral piece. And then if you wanted to have something for the inside, you need another neutral piece that is 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. If your card base is too dark to write on or stamp on or whatever you're doing. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 2 pieces here, and really simply, you're just going to mount them on top of each other. So you're gonna take your designer series paper and put that on the cardstock that you chose. My designer series paper here is hand penned from the annual catalog, and that's on page 131. For some reason, I was feeling springy this weekend. I think it might have had to do with the mild December week that we've had. So I'm actually pulling some springtimey looking stuff from the annual catalog to work with while I prep for our new spring type things coming up in the new mini catalog. All right, so there is those 2 pieces. So you can just set those aside. You're gonna take your card base and fold along the score line at 4 1/4. That's halfway through that part. Give it a nice good crease. Then, so turn it around so it's gonna open from this direction. Fold this back towards the left side, okay? So it's gonna open like so, okay? All right, then you're gonna take your 2 pieces that you've mounted here. One is gonna go on this front panel here, and you're gonna have just a little bit of border on the bottom and top, a little bit more perhaps on your left and right edges. So you can choose to go more to the side, or you can choose to kind of be in the center of that entire panel. Okay, so there's that one. This one we're going to put on this side. So it's going to resemble something that's usually called a gatefold, where they fold in toward each other and open up like that. This is going to resemble a gatefold because you're going to think these pieces are identical pieces, but this one's actually just going to sneak and open that direction. All right, so go ahead and mount that second piece on this side over here. And again, you can kind of see about center, left to right, and a little bit less top to bottom. Mine went down a little too fast here for me. So you just slide it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that is the base of your card. Okay, now if you did cut a piece for the inside, you're going to hide that right here underneath that flap. Hi Karen, good to see you tonight. So you're going to hide that neutral piece that you want if you want to write on something, stamp on something that's, in case you have a super dark card base or something, that neutral piece is going to hide right under there. So when it's closed, you won't see it. All right, so let's look at your focal point for the front. So I said to have two different shapes, about 2 by 2 and about 3 by 3. Don't worry if they're not exact, if they're not square, if they're not circle, whatever it was, as long as they layer on top of each other nicely and fit the imagery, etc. that you want to use. So my phrase for mine is actually going to come from Timeless Tulips. This is one in the annual catalog, and you can find that excuse me, on page 38, and it does have a matching punch, which is nice. The punch will punch out the tulip and one of the leaves, so that is really handy to have there. It's one of those distinctive sets, so there's lots of shading and stuff within the set itself. It leaves really pretty tulip images behind it. I'm going to use my get well soon phrase, and I've probably shown you guys this in the past, but I'm going to show you how to break that up so that, because as you can see, it's a pretty long phrase and it's not going to fit on that image. So my best friend here is Post-it notes. I'm going to start with the middle so that I can see what I'm doing. And you guys go ahead and do your focal point image however you are going to do that. So I'm going to leave these on here for now while I ink up just the word well, like so. Whoop. There we go, like so. So just the word well is getting ink right now. Now remember to take off these Post-it notes before you stamp, because otherwise you're going to have streaky Post-it note stuff there. So the well is just going to go right in the middle, like so. Then you're going to want to clean it off. Look at my lovely, lovely Stampin' Scrub, or my chamois there. Holy cow, does that get dirty after a while. So I'm going to challenge you guys. If you have a chamois that looks worse than mine, let me see it. I'm going to have a little fun giveaway with that later. All right, now I'm going to do my soon. Take that off again. That's the tricky part. There's my soon. Okay. And again, clean, clean, clean. I'll do this one off camera so you don't have to look at my icky chamois. All right. And then this one, we want just the word get. So covering up the well soon. And again, remove that Post-it note so you don't have extra ink laying around. And there is my get. So now I have a vertically stacked get well soon that fits my image that I want to, or my piece that I want to have on there. Now I went ahead and did that ahead of time, and I did the trimming. So like I said, when you just use the die, it just leaves the stitched impression behind, but it is an easy pattern to follow, and so it's really easy to cut out. These come in a couple different shapes, squares, rectangles, that sort of thing within the, again, that's the Stitched with Whimsy dies, which are on page 166. All right, so if you have your focal point done, go ahead and assemble it together. And like I said, they're gonna fit together kind of like that, okay? And then here you have a choice. You can use your dimensionals at this point if you want to. If you want to keep it a little bit flatter, you can just do adhesive straight up with your tape runner. But here's the trick. It's gonna go right in the middle here. But remember, we wanna be able to open this. So you only want to put adhesive on the left side. So if you're using dimensionals, run them down the left side. If you're using tape, just do a couple little runs down the left side only, so that when you bring this back in and you put it in there, it will still open. Okay, so it's kind of a twist on a gatefold looking card without actually doing the gatefold part of it. And again, if you have a neutral piece that you want to use, it's going to go right in there. All right, so let me set this aside. And I will show you where I got the inspiration for this one is already like a stepped up version. I received this in a swap from a fellow demonstrator. And, oh, there we go, I left her name over there. Debbie Schneider from Minnesota. I received this one. Same concept, opens, and as you can see, here's her white panel. She even added a little bit of DSP to that one. And then I'm going to show you, so this comes from the same DSP set, so it's still hand penned, just a different piece of that paper. She has a couple layers behind her, so there's a layer of heather and there's a layer of white, so just a couple more layers to give it some interest. And then she used the die set called Encircled in Friendship, and that's on page 159, and they make these really pretty detailed lacy cutouts. So she just did 2 of those. The Best Wishes comes from Welcoming Woods, which is in the mini catalog, the current one, on page 46. And then she added some gems of the In Color Jewels, which are from the annual catalog. So there's the stepped up version right away. And like I said, that's where I got the inspiration for this. I've done similar ones in the horizontal layout, but I thought the vertical layout was kind of a little bit more interesting with that. Like I said, it mimics the gatefold without having to measure for the gatefold. So, all right, set those aside for a second, and I'll show you a couple other samples while you guys are finishing up perhaps what you're working on. I pulled out In Symmetry again. That's annual catalog, page 113. And I used the Sweet Symmetry, easier to read than say apparently, designer series paper that goes with it. Yeah, right, Karen? Like that would be, like I said, those would definitely be beautiful for, I think one of the alternative verses in the tulips was Happy Mother's Day. So that would have been a good, feminine, like I said, feminine card, depending on what you're picking out, for sure, for your papers and stuff. So this is In Symmetry. I've used the Cameo Coral and the Night of Navy. I added the verse inside. Where's my panel? Because again, they're dark cardstock. You definitely need an inside verse on that. And here's my 2 circles. So like I said, circle, square, any kind of shapes that layer really nicely. You want to go ahead and add that for the front. And again, this one I did pop up on dimensionals. And remember, just use them on the left side so that you're not closing your card, or sealing your card shut, I guess I should say. Here's again, this is with the tulip set still. This time I actually used the tulip itself. So you can see the tulip is stamped on there. Some of the leaves are stamped on there. This is Magenta Madness and the Expressions in Ink designer series paper. It's got these beautiful flecks of gold going through it. Really, really love that. And I grabbed my seasonal label dies. Those are in the mini catalog, current one on page 18. So I thought those layered really nicely together, and I used a couple gems from the Square In Color gems. Those are in the annual catalog. There again, I stamped on the inside, added the little phrase of the image, I should say, to where I'm going to write later. And I used black as my other color just to have everything pop off this really nicely. The Magenta Madness and the black, I think, are a really good combination. All right, there's that one. And then this is a little bit of a sneak peek for you guys. If you haven't gotten your catalogs already, here's a peek at one of the items coming up. This designer series paper is called Daffodil Afternoon, and it's in the Celebration catalog. So it's something that you can earn for free. There's a really, really pretty set of, as you can imagine, lots of daffodils involved. Really, really pretty patterns of paper in that one. And there's a stamp set then called Daffodil Daydream, which is in the mini catalog. So if you have one of these handy, open that up to page 37. I can't open it on camera, so if you've got it at home, page 37. You'll see the stamp set and the dies there. And the bundle is $54.75, which means you've already spent enough to hop into this Celebration catalog and get that daffodil paper free. So great combination of stuff right off the bat. This Happy Mother's Day phrase comes from the Daffodil stamp set. And this I did just with some regular bits of cardstock and the Treasured Tags Pick-a-Punch, just to get those interesting little shapes on the end of my just used regular card strips. And you can find that one on page 149 of the annual catalog. All right, so there is, whoops, let me bring that back down again. This little dot pattern is in the stamp set with the daffodils. So then there's a couple different daffodil shapes of, I should say, there's a single daffodil and then a group of daffodils. And I had initially thought to use the group, but I didn't want to end up covering up all of that pretty paper. So there's one of them that I picked initially to do. Again, circle shapes, and there's those daffodils that I colored with my blends. But I didn't want to lose that much of the designer series paper, so I opted instead to just do a phrase at the bottom. So think about that depending on what paper you're using. Really make that work for you. It has the minimal stamping involved, which is sometimes nice to do for something super quick and easy. All right, let me just bring all of those back into focus here a little bit. Hopefully that was something that went together quick and easy for you guys. Like I said, I like to play with the designer series papers, and a little bit of phrasing works really well because I think it's something all of you guys have just laying around in your crafty spaces, and I'm like showing you guys different ways to use that up. Alrighty, well that is going to do it for me for this particular Monday night. If you're coming in just now, this will be posted in just a minute or so. You can watch it again, and I will share a YouTube link later so that you can have that saved in your favorites there. Excuse me. Save that in your favorites in case you want to reference it again. I'll have the pictures posted later this evening, and hope you guys have a wonderful holiday this week. I will still be here Monday night live. Again, if you're busy with your holiday preps and stuff, you can always catch it later, but I'll post something there and have it all out there for you guys. You're welcome, Jessie. I figured it was something like that. So you're very welcome. I'm glad you joined me tonight. Have a great holiday season, everybody, and I'll see you next Monday night for another episode. Bye now.